guys. Thanks for joining the live. Monday, good morning. Good morning. Did I tell you guys how much I love Mondays? I actually love Mondays. I love to start the week in a very high vibration, high mode. Can you guys hear me well? Just want to make sure you can hear me. On one of my lives on Saturday, I got complaints that I wasn't being heard. Hi, thanks for joining. We usually give everybody about a minute to join and then we get going on what we want to talk about. Feel free to bring your questions. And of course, I take up some questions that come via email if they're to the benefit of the group. And if they're more specific, I only address questions in my Facebook Lives. We had a Facebook Live this Saturday. We addressed quite a few of our members' questions. And it's now posted in the Facebook group if you want to watch it. If you submitted your question, but you couldn't participate, the Facebook group lives stay up for 30 days. I don't publish them publicly because on Facebook, the majority of people have their real names. So that's just to protect everyone's privacy and to allow for longer form questions because on the system, you can't do longer form questions. So thanks for joining the 60-day challenge. If you're doing my 60-day challenge in the bio, if you're doing it first, second, third time, the reason people do it so many times is because they see results. If they saw no results, nobody would be doing it the third time hoping for results. In the month of April, we set out to manifest $100,000 as a group. I think we're already over $200,000. That's for the people who are doing the challenge and who are connected to the group energy. And, you know, it's incredible where this money comes from. And I'm not talking about income. I'm not talking about anything that is expected, like your regular allowance from your parents, from your spouse. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about unexpected money. And you cannot think about how that money is going to come. And the people who are able to do that, they've been able to manifest incredible amounts, 20,000, 60,000, 10,000, but even the smaller wins, like, you know, they get a check in the mail for $500 or $200. Hey, that's unexpected money, right? Unexpected money. People gift them money. There's been a few lottery wins in the 3 digits. They've all been 3 digits. But still, you know, you get a scratch ticket for $5 and then you get, so, you know, I really believe in this idea of clearing your energy system such that you don't know the how. This is probably the most, right? Other than working on your limiting beliefs, on what defines you as a person, on your own energetic system. In parallel with doing that, you have to completely let go of the how. We always think we know how things are going to come. And the more you know, the more the universe steps back. Remember, the more you know exactly the thing exactly how you're going to get, you know, for example, on a trip, you're going to the Dominican Republic. The universe doesn't step in, right? You see your trip goes according to plan. You buy your ticket, you get on the plane, you get there. The universe steps out of the way as opposed to you saying, I want to get a free trip somewhere tropical. You can't say to the Dominican Republic, right? Somewhere tropical, and I'm going to get it. I don't know how, but the universe will just deliver it to me. And we had people in our group to whom the universe delivered exactly this. So please understand, the universe will do 80% of the work or 90% of the work. You still have to take inspired action on 10%. Tell me where you're at with your manifestation. Tell me where you're at with, if you're part of the 100K challenge, leave your manifested unexpected income. This is the last week for it. I'm going to close this on April 30th and total the final amount. Let me just put my phone on silent, do not disturb. And then I'm going to read a couple of questions, see where you guys are at. By the way, the manifestation for this week for the group, or if you want to participate, even if you're not in the group, to see how you're aligning with us. I haven't really done a weekly manifestation because we had this money goal and I wanted everybody to focus on money. But the manifestation for this week is a white owl. And I'm picking something that is material in our world in a sense, but it's also something that has deep spiritual meaning. I feel that after the eclipse that happened 2 weeks ago, we all shifted. Like we're all able, especially in my group, we're all able to go a little bit to the next level. And I want us to see a symbol of spirituality. And I'm picking this white owl because it's also not really something that is extremely common to see in your 3D experience. This can come to you in a photo, but not while scrolling on the phone. That's always been my group manifestation. So if you scroll on TikTok and you stumble upon a white owl, that's not it. It has to surprise you. It has to come to you in an unexpected way in your 3D. And I'm going to post this on the Facebook group, and I can't wait for you guys to tell me sort of like how it came to pass in your experience. I can't wait to see my white owl as well. Again, take that when you see it as a confirmation that you did indeed go to the next level. I want to stop, see if I missed anything. That was sort of the intro. And I'm going to read some questions that I got. I don't think I missed anything. I don't think anybody put any questions or any comments so far. Okay. Let's get into the material of I'm going to stay a lot on money today. If you guys want to talk about anything else, let me know. So this queen is saying, I need help releasing the paradigm that money comes from working hard. Don't we all? I come from a family of entrepreneurs who are also immigrants. Very blessed people, really manifested a life of prosperity. Good men, good providers, decent fathers. The seed they implanted was get an education, marry a man with money, or get a high-earning white-collar job, or start a business. Create your own windfalls and lucky chances. That's it. But this mindset puts too much pressure on me to work doing things I may not want to do, or that don't fully align with my vision of the future, because it's important to always be industrious. So I think that this is a woman. So I think that for women who grew up with, let's say, immigrant parents, with parents that work really hard, not necessarily immigrant, right? But the immigrants seem to like need to prove themselves a lot more, you know, like my parents, for example, in the North American society. So whether those parents were entrepreneurs or whether they just took their jobs really seriously, I think this was the only message that they delivered to their daughters. And the message was this, it's like a prevailing message. The message was, there's only two ways for you to make it in this North American society. One is to marry rich. Two is to get an education and be at the top on your own, because this is why we moved here. This is why we offered you this life. This is why we offer you this possibility. This is why we left everything back home. A lot of people, by the way, when they came to North America, they left back home better living conditions than they had in North America, simply to give their kids a different future. And so the message was like, you know, marry rich, but that was kind of diminished to be like, okay, that's not likely to happen to you. So you have to absolutely get an education and work and get a business, or get a white collar paying a high salary type job. So first of all, Queen, I want to say this is very common. When you're saying this mindset puts too much pressure on me to work doing things I might not want to do. Okay, so in this message, you're not saying whether you're married or not at the current time. Of course, also what happens to women like that, once they get married and they didn't marry rich, the paradigm kicks in, as in, now I really have to work hard, right? Because those are the two options growing up. It's deep in the paradigm, right? So now if you didn't get married rich, if you're like 35, you have 2 kids, you have your husband that you guys have to work hard for the mortgage. Now the paradigm is going to come even further to the surface. But what's happening now at the level of people who are doing the spiritual work, whether it's men or women, but for men and women, different things come to the surface. So what women are finding in doing this work is that this work on developing themselves and spirituality requires a different kind of energy than the energy of chasing money, of being successful in the world, of having financial responsibilities on a consistent basis, on a month-to-month basis. And so this feeling of pressure, of masculine pressure to produce, is very difficult to align with the energy of being in receive mode, right? So let me just see something. What I find strange about this live is that nobody can somebody comment something on the live? I wonder if I turned off the comments, because all it tells me here on these things is that people joined. But I'm not sure if there's a way to not allow comments. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Just nobody has anything to say. Everyone is in listening mode. I guess I should take that as a compliment. Hi guys. Okay. I just want to make sure it's working. One time it wasn't working, and I was I was saying, like, if you guys have nothing to say, I'm gonna terminate this live. But it turned out the Facebook live wasn't working, so it was really comical, because when I closed it, I had 100 comments from people trying to talk to me. So what was I saying? I was talking about receive mode, right? So this energy of having to produce. So remember, the mindset is, you've been programmed with the paradigm, marry rich or do better than us, because that's why we came to this country, for you to succeed. And you have to work as much as a man, right? Because that was the instruction. Was not that, the instruction was that whatever you observed in maybe your mother or your grandmother back home, you are not going to take that in here. You're not going to have this life in here. That's why your parents moved here as immigrants, right? They moved here so you can have a different life. And the life, thank you. And the life that you are going to have is going to align with the culture that's here. And the culture that's here is everybody has to work and produce and make her or his own future. So with this mentality, number one, I think you can safely assume you're in masculine mode all the time. All the time. Right? So when you're in masculine mode all the time, and you have to compete in the world, and you have to compete in your workplace, and you have to get promoted, because you're not allowed to stay at the same level, right? Your expenses grow, you got to contribute more, you got to contribute. So, when she's saying this doesn't align with, what did she say? I want to read it exactly, because I know exactly what she means, and it's not the first time I heard it. Or don't fully align with my vision of the future, because it's important, because her past was important to always be industrious. So she's not specifying what her vision of the future is, but I am guessing she's tired. She's finding out that doing spiritual work, which people enjoy doing, by the way, when you do it properly, when you do it, let's say, I think everyone in my group keeps enjoying it. That's why they stay in the group, right? They see results, but they're also enjoying it. But when you're starting this self-exploration, you're going to notice that the energy you're exerting towards exploring yourself has a cost. It has a cost. And that cost is not only the time you have to invest, which doesn't have to be a lot, but keeping your awareness still, doing all the things, it has a cost. For example, things that were important before will not seem so important. So if I am in this present moment, and if my focus is, how am I feeling right now? As I'm giving this speech, this information to people, is this taking from me, or is it increasing me? Is it increasing my energy? Is it worth it? Is it like I'm in constant monitoring awareness of, why am I doing this thing? And first of all, what am I doing? What am I thinking about? And why am I thinking that? Right? And I always return it back. Is this increasing me in some, thank you. Is this increasing me in some way, or is it not increasing me, or is it decreasing me? So for example, you're scrolling aimlessly through Instagram. That's probably not increasing you, And if you, in that one moment of awareness, you're like, this is really like a waste of time, and it's hurting my eyes, and maybe that's why I'm starting to not see so well. Then all of a sudden, right? That doesn't vibe with the energy of, I'm going to keep doing things the same way. And with this queen, it's the same idea, right? As you're doing this work, you're going to notice, hey, this doesn't feel good. This me, like starting businesses and competing and doing this admin work, it's taking away from what I want to experience in my life. And then you start to question, hey, why do I have the same setup as, my parents, or as they told me to, when in fact, what vibes with me more would be, let's say, raising a family. I love playing with kids, or I don't love playing with kids. I love traveling. I love, so when you're working on yourself, whatever is really in you, the real you is going to come to the surface, and is going to question this masked you that you're portraying in the world. You're living a certain way. If you are to ask yourself, why am I doing the things I'm doing? You'd be like, majority of people will be like, it's because That's what I have to do to exist in the world. I need to earn my right to be on earth. Get it? You have to earn your right to exist. This is the message. You can't just exist. You didn't ask to be born, but now you can't just exist. Right now, you have to earn your right to exist one more day. Think about how defective this is, right? How damaging this is for your state of mind. I didn't ask to come, but now I have to stay here. Okay? They tell you have to stay here and you have to contribute. But how are you going to contribute? The way your soul purpose is? No, you're going to contribute the way they tell you it's necessary for you to contribute. So the whole system, even the capitalist system is communist, right? Because they tell you exactly what you're going to do to succeed, to have money, to contribute to your taxes, to do. Anyways, that's a bigger discussion. But in regards to this queen, I know exactly what she means. And the solution is you got to step by step back into your receive mode and into your feminine mode. And as you do this, right, you have to become your biggest cheerleader every step of the way. Every step of the way. So when you're doing something that's different but more aligned with you, expect 3D is going to resist. It's going to resist mostly via the people around you. Your boss not going to like it. Your husband not going to like it. Your kids not going to like it. Okay? Because they're used to you worrying about them all the time. So as you step back, expect at first you're going to meet resistance. Now, when people meet resistance, okay, they deal with it two ways. One is you fight that resistance. In that fight, a lot of existing systems may crumble, or they're overwhelmed by their resistance and they give up. And they're like, okay, I can't really do this. It's just too complicated right now. I don't want to, go through all this work. And, I have to convince 5 other people to be on my side. So if you can't convince yourself that this is the right path, I am doing this work because I know there's really light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, I'll be in the tunnel forever, which, I'll blindly walk through the tunnel. It's okay. But if I do this work, the light will come a lot sooner. And when it will come, it will completely change the trajectory of how I feel inside. Forget that your life will change. Your life will change automatically. But what will change most is how you feel about yourself. And a lot of people feel like crap about themselves, about where they are in life, about the way they look, about the relationship they have, about they're just half given up, if not more than half given up. And so, Queen, you got to get in receive mode and do everything possible to change the expectations that the other people have of you by putting on these boundaries. And this includes even at work, right? You're going to work a little bit different or a little bit less. Or, and your boss says, well, okay, Jennifer is always like, we can just give her more work because she's always, consistent and she executes. And you're wondering how come other people are getting away with doing less. It's because they're more in receive mode than you. You're more in give mode, right? So you're going to start pushing back slowly on all of the systems in your life, right? All of the systems in your life. Let's say you want to eat healthy and your kids want pasta and it's exhausting for you to cook 2 meals. So you're just going to cook your healthy meal, and whoever doesn't want to eat is not going to eat that night. Like, I know I'm not going to be very popular for this type of advices, but if it's not good for you, you got to understand, if you do it, even if it's not good for you, if you don't put yourself first, you can never get out of status quo. You might as well make peace with the status quo. So unpack yourself and realize that the programs that you have in your mind, by the way, I just did a video on 4 different layers of limiting beliefs, and it's not just beliefs, it's doubts and fears and personality and what's possible. And say where I want to be. Let's say I want to be, whatever you're thinking you want to be. Not an entrepreneur. You just want to have an easy life where, like a soft life where you can unfold yourself. Okay? Now put it through that funnel. Is it in line with your soul purpose? Is it in line with the programming beliefs, which is you just outlined here that you need some reprogramming? Is it in line with your doubts? Like, your doubts could be, will I be able to pay the bills if I do this? Will my husband be okay with it? does it go through your fears? Okay, the fear of no longer being accepted in your community, your society, your family, whatever cultural background you have, right? So, by the time you funnel all of this, like I want a soft life, but 1, 2, 3, 4 beliefs, programs, doubts, fears, by the time it gets down, you're going to be like, there's no way this one thing is able to filter through all of this. Check out the video when we're done this live, or you can stop now and check it out, because it will be, I did a diagram with a representation, and you should look at it. So that's sort of the answer. Slowly transition yourself in receive mode in all areas of life, including your relationships, right? Where is it that your husband can do a little bit more for you? Just communicate that to the other person. See what they say. I have queens who, they do, let's say 50-50 relationships. They come to this work. They're like, Mona, tell me how I can get out of a 50. I don't want to break up with him. I just want him to become a provider. So I said, step number 1, just tell him that. Just tell him that and see what he's prepared to do, because he's gonna know if you're voicing a need, okay? And if he really loves you, he's going to strive to meet that need. And if he doesn't love you, then he's gonna say, oh, you're not gonna pay 50-50, get out, right? So then it's easy. It's easy either way, right? So I said, the first step is just communicate it. And a lot of these women come back and say, Mona, you won't believe this. My husband completely turned around. He agreed to pay all the rent. He agreed to do this. He agreed to do that. And they're like sort of in the state of shock. Like, oh, I only did the first 20 days of the challenge and he's completely changed. And I'm like, yeah, but you also asked for it, right? You gotta understand that the fact that you were supposed to contribute whatever you were contributing before was just an idea you had in your head. He probably didn't even ask for it. It's just the way you set yourself up in the relationship. And this goes to everything. This goes to the way you handle your kids and how much you give them, the way you give in an intimate exchange with your partner. Like, is it enough about you, or is it more about him, or is it more about her? What are your needs being met? You constantly have to monitor yourself. Receive mode means my needs are met. My financial needs are met within reasonable, maybe your husband can buy you a Porsche or a $3,000 purse, but are your financial needs met? They're met. The needs, are they met based on the lifestyle that you have right now? Are your intimate needs met? Are your time for yourself needs met? Are your, and if it's a no on every area, you're not in receive mode anywhere. You can write 1,000 times on a piece of paper, I am rich and I am slim and I am adored. It's not going to happen, because even your basic needs aren't met right now. So unless you check yourself, this is why people come to this work and they're like, okay, how many times do I need to write this down? How much work is this going to be? And they're prepared to do the work in 3D. They're prepared to give 8 hours to their employer plus 2 hours on the commute and going to the grocery store. And, they're prepared to give anything to just function in 3D, to just earn their right to exist on Earth. But they're not prepared to give themselves almost anything. And then they're like, how can I be in feminine receive mode? What are you prepared to give yourself? What are you? Oh, well, I have half an hour, 20 minutes. Can I meditate? Can you recommend a 20 minutes meditation that's going to completely change my life? I can't, because it doesn't exist. You understand? It doesn't exist. Stop looking for easy solutions. All right, I have one more I want to take up. It's also about money, and then I'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. This queen says, hi Mona, maybe you could address this topic on Monday's live. My question is, I don't have fears based around money, but more of an urgency. I am in a very toxic work environment that I can't leave right now because I have 24 years vested in this job. But it has become a very toxic environment because of one person. So I have a feeling of urgency for something wonderful and unexpected to happen, so I can leave this job and still be able to pay my expenses or better. I know the pushing for something to happen faster doesn't help, but I'm trying hard to stay relaxed and patient with it, but it's hard when every day you spend 8 hours in a toxic workplace. Okay, so this is the situation of many people. And many people would be in this toxic workplace, toxic marriage, toxic environment, because they have a lot invested in it. And in case of work, I completely understand it, because the 24 years of investment translates into actual money. If you quit, you get nothing. If they fire you, you get quite a substantial package, I would assume, after 24 years. So it doesn't really make sense to quit your job after 24 years, because in your mind this is the case, right? Because you would be leaving on the table a large amount of money, and maybe even future promotions that you could have in this company if it wasn't for this one person. Because of that, so there is an insinuation that there will be a huge loss happening. What is happening is you are telling the universe the how. Right now, you're telling the universe, I need to have something. First of all, it has to be urgent. Second, it has to be big. Third, it has to be whatever she said, unexpected blessing, unexpected miracle, etc., etc. So all this really could happen via maybe a lottery win. That would be after you narrowed this funnel to so specific, right? The only way you can justify leaving your job is if you come through some large amount of unexpected money. So right away you're at a loss, right? Because right away you're telling the universe the how. You're telling the universe the situation. You're telling the so by telling the universe the situation, you're focusing on the situation. By telling the universe that it's urgent, you're actually delaying it. By telling the universe how, the universe already stepped back. So everything in this scenario is done the wrong way. Right? So what it is in that people need to understand is that they have to open up to the universe to allow the universe to return to you an ideal outcome without you stepping in and telling the how, right? So one way to do that is you don't have to think that you have to quit your job to have an ideal environment. What if this one person that is a hindrance in your environment was all of a sudden going to not be there anymore? And again, do all your manifestations to the highest good of all and with harm to none and all that. So it's not what I'm talking about. Tomorrow they can't be there because something happened to them. I'm talking about, I got rid of 2 bosses, and they weren't awful bosses, but I just wanted to advance in my career. I had a 9-year corporate career, and I was like, I'm good as this. After 2 years in my role, my first 2 years, I'm just as good as my manager. In fact, I'm doing a lot of the stuff. It's time for me to have people under me. How can I, advance in my career, etc., etc. I actually was thinking, okay, I'm going to start looking for jobs. All of a sudden, my manager pulls me in, and I was imagining being in his office in terms of me sitting in his spot, not just being in his office, but seeing the office from the chair in which he was in. And, he calls me and he's like, you want to go for lunch? I need to talk to you about something. And then he tells me, he says, actually, I'm going to start my own company and I'm going to be leaving. And because I want to leave in good terms with this company, I want to make sure I can recommend you to take over my role and to take over my position. I was like in complete shock, right? Because for 2-3 months, that's what I was practicing, like taking his job basically. And here it is returning to me to the highest benefit of all, right? He still has this was many years ago, but he still has that business. He's flourished. He's done well and etc. Then in a few years in my corporate career, I had another boss who was actually not in my city, but he was fairly annoying. He was hands off and I was able to do whatever I wanted, but he was very cheap. And every time I would put a request for an increase, somebody in my team, for me, it just wasn't enough. He was just a blocker, right? So then I was like, okay, you know what? Can I somehow advance myself further, right? And how can I do this? And I'm contemplating. In this case, I couldn't imagine myself in his office because he was in a different city. So I started imagining myself, what if they gave me his job, they consolidated everything, and what would I have to do? Well, I have a team in this other city, so I'm going to need to travel probably for work. So I started to imagine myself traveling and speaking to different people and different teams. And lo and behold, guys, I kid you not, I can't make this stuff up. He was fired. He was fired and they were saying, we don't really need him. And, they came to me and they were actually trying to get me to do his job for no increase at all. And I said, there's no way. Right? Finally, I struggled and I was like, you know what? Okay, fine. Like, they gave me like 10 grand or something. And anyways, I was kind of pissed about that because I realized my manifestation was going to include a lot of work for very little increase. So sometimes your manifestation is not actually beneficial. And I had no choice at this point. I could either quit or take it for 10,000 increase, and the 10,000 wasn't worth it. So when you want to manifest something, please understand it's not necessarily a guarantee of happiness or even a guarantee that it's going to be good for you. Okay? It's not a guarantee at all. In fact, it could be detrimental to you. But you're going to find that out when you manifest. If you don't want to do that, your choices, you really have 3 choices in life. 1, live purposely. 2, leave it all to God. Okay? Interpret everything that happens to you through, like, if it's God's will, I'm going to get this. If not, not. Or to just be in this materialistic world and understand that things happen randomly, that, if you work hard, you might get it, but you might not. It depends on who you know, etc., etc. So you choose the model of reality that makes sense to you. Okay, for me, it makes sense for me to influence the formless substance. The structure of the world that I teach is the creator at the top, the formless substance, which is the universe. This is technology. We can access it and shape it to the way we want. And then there's us. And what I teach is that you can access it from the other side. It can also be accessed by accessing the creator and asking him. But then you have to allow for... So I guess the point is it's not against any religious teachings. But if you ask the creator, you got to accept what is that the script of your life will be dictated based on a sequence that you won't necessarily understand or be able to make sense of. You can also insist on your own truth. The creator will let you have whatever you want. Maybe will try to stop you in some ways because it might not be good for you. But eventually your free will reign supreme. You will be given it. Don't expect that it will necessarily make you happy. So I just wanted to say that. And in regards to this queen, I'm wondering if I answered her question. I think, queen, it would be much easier for you than expect this windfall of money so you can quit your job if you just got rid of this person via changing your story about your reality. Either they're not there, either that, but again, to the highest benefit, with harm to none. Please do all your manifestations with harm to none. This person is not there. See their desk empty or see them just announcing their departure. You can also do it by imagining, this is harder, but by imagining they completely change their mind about you. This is a Neville technique. They all of a sudden like you and you have pleasant interactions with them. But it's hard for people to do. It's harder, right? When you despise and hate somebody, resent them, they treat you badly for years. Now all of a sudden for you to imagine them in this wonderful scenarios, giving each other hugs and stuff, this is difficult. It's much more difficult for you to do. So pick the method that you find is right for you. Do not focus only on the fact that I have to quit my job. When you say I have to quit my job, you're telling the universe how to release you from the situation, and the universe will eventually, but not necessarily to your benefit. Okay, so you're going to manifest that he leaves. Yeah. So remember, the point of this is you don't know the how you're going to be freed from the situation. You don't know the how. You just find yourself into believing that you will be freed from the situation. Can I write something in the free field in the 60-day challenge that I didn't write in the specific goals? Of course. Of course, because the whole point of this challenge is you're going to change as you're doing the challenge. If you don't change at all, something's wrong, right? But everybody who's doing it is reporting to me, this clarified for me. This just came to me. They have this aha moments, either about what they want or about the limiting beliefs around the things that they want, or about a dream they had, or about a specific affirmation they need to change in terms of, not just saying, I earn $1 million, but maybe they want to say, I earn more and I work so much less. I earn more. This is an affirmation I did about 6-7 years ago when I left corporate. And this affirmation for me was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know. All I wanted really in the end, the way I clarified it is I want to earn more and work less. That was my affirmation. It was a pretty simple one. Year 1, it happened. Year 2, it happened. Okay. Now, when I say work less, I don't necessarily mean I didn't work. Of course I worked, right? But overall, I felt a much more sense of ease. I didn't feel so strained. I didn't feel like it's this feeling of flow. I never want to manifest not working, because to me, if you don't make a contribution, if you're just around the house, not doing anything, especially if you have kids and if you have a structure in your life, you're not going to be able to say, oh, okay, but now I have money and I can fly to Spain and be there. And from there, who knows, maybe I'll go to Thailand. Guys, please don't call me. I don't take calls during my life. So you're not going to be able to do that. So, having this life of ease when you have no purpose will get you depressed very quickly. Right? The idea is you want to contribute based on your talent, based on whatever it is that you have to offer the world. Otherwise, you're sort of just a parasite in the world. I don't think anybody on this life is, but there are people like that. Let's see. Any tips on manifesting your dream car? I actually have videos about the dream car and the dream house. So for the house, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I have them grouped somewhere on my playlist. But, for the house and for the car, when you see it on the road, okay, I want you to first ask yourself, who is driving this car and who is living in this house? Yeah, and a lot of coaches are telling you the first thing you need to do is smell the car and envision driving it. Hang on a second. You're not there yet. That's like further down the line, okay? First, you got to see what limiting beliefs you have. Who is driving this car? What type of people are driving this car? When you look around, you will notice that the kind of car you want, more likely than not, will be driven by people that you don't identify with. This is the biggest problem. So they're not people like you. Maybe they're older people with more money. Maybe they're younger people who get their money from their parents. Maybe they're young crypto people. Maybe they're beautiful women who get it from men. Maybe. But you will notice the house that you want, if it's just like this deep desire. If you drive by their neighborhood and you really sit there and ask yourself, who am I like this person who owns this house? Am I like this person? You'll find that deep down, you don't think you are. You don't have anything in common with them. And the way they made the money to afford that, you don't see that as a possibility for you to obtain the money based on how they obtain their money. So before you envision yourself driving it and smelling it and going to the showroom and whatever they tell you, are you the type of person who deserves, who can achieve that type of car? And the easy answer is, who's driving it now? After you do step number 1, come back to envisioning, but only if you can align your identity with the people who are driving that car. I want to manifest a work from home job with more money. Yeah. I work, I never commute. I work from home and I make more. And I don't know how that's going to come. But, wake up at 8 a.m., set your coffee. This is all like unfolding in your mind for now, in your journal for now, in the 60-day challenge manifestation in terms of your affirmations for work. I wake up at 8 a.m., so which would be later than you normally wake up for a commute. I make my coffee and I love sitting at my computer. Set up your computer, your desk area exactly the way you want in your home. Be ready for it. I'm going to tell you guys a cool story of how I helped a friend of mine manifest a dream job, really. Like a dream job. This was before COVID. This was maybe like, I want to say 2017. And this is like a university friend of mine. He's a man. And, we both got married after university with different people and we became family friends with those people. So this is why, I'm still friends with both him and his wife. And he was talking to me about his work, and he was saying, I've had this job now for X amount of years. They're not promoting me. They're not advancing me. I see younger guys coming up from behind me and being promoted, and I'm being passed on, even though, I'm a senior programmer and what have you. So I said to him, number one, like I tell you guys, you have to ask for what you want of a spouse, of a boss, etc. So he goes in and he asks, and he said, let's say he was like at 120, and he said, I need to be more around 160. This is what's in line. I was at 120 7 years ago when I got hired. I didn't get promoted, etc. So the manager was actually quite rude to him and said, it's not in the cards. You're lucky to have a job. I guess he said it nicer, but this was the message. There's people who are more talented than you, who are younger, like who are coming up. Maybe he didn't say younger, but that was the point. The point is, programmers are a dime a dozen. You're not going to get anything. You're lucky to even have a job. And he hated the commute also. He says, I come in earlier than everybody, I leave later than everybody, and all this is possible is because my wife is doing everything to be able to support me in doing this. And so I said to him, go ask. He went to ask. We talked again. He said, this is what they said to me. He was very depressed. He was like, I'm going to start applying for new jobs. And I said to him, you know what? I have a feeling that you don't have to apply for anything, because right now you released two ways. Okay. First of all, you went and you asked and you spoke your mind and you told the universe what you want. And then the second thing is, like, in this feeling that you have right now, you're doing, try to switch your feeling of being disappointed to feeling of allowing, because right now that you clarified, your boss is expecting that maybe you're going to exit. You're expecting that maybe you're going to exit. Maybe this doesn't have to be a lot of work. So just leave it. Just leave it. That's what I said to him. I swear, like it was crazy. So he left it. It didn't happen right away, but maybe like 2 months later, 3 months later, he gets an email. But I told him, like I said, completely forget it, right? Like, don't worry about applying or doing all, because he couldn't take time off to go to interviews. He gets an email from a recruiter. So we're in Canada. So this was a recruiter from the United States. Says a very, very well-known online company is looking for a programmer. Like your profile. Let's talk. He talks to them. The interview is literally like an hour with the recruiter. And the recruiter recommends him, and the firm says, okay, we're going to move on to, based on your recommendation, to the next step. And the next step is the test, right? Because you have to do a test as a programmer. They put him on the system, and they give him like a program to debug. They give him a program to write. He does all of it. He was hired by the end of the same week for closer to 180 US, and he was making 120 Canadian. Okay, so this is very important in terms of letting go. And it was work from home because the company was online. Company is chess.com, by the way. It's like famous company that hired him. He didn't apply. He didn't do anything. He just all of a sudden, in that request, in that speaking to me, he let go of all that frustration and resentment that was built inside of him. And he dared to believe, okay, maybe because he believed what I was saying, he dared to believe that things are just going to work out. Things are somehow just going to work out. He's still employed with chess.com. Things are going well for him. He probably got a few raises since then, and they're doing very well. That's the story. You got to believe that this kind of stuff can happen to you. Okay, first, express yourself. Never build resentment inside yourself. The resentment that you build needs to come out. You need to be truthful. You need to be truthful to your husband about what's not working. You need to be truthful to your boss. You need to be truthful. You need to state your expectation. This is why all the coaches tell you, you have to be very clear in what you want. There's no bigger truth than this. You have to be extremely clear about what you want and speak it, say it, express it, and be prepared to meet with any response that comes back. Like your husband might say no. Your boss might say no. But you're going to figure out what to do after. Do not make your plan. If he says no, I will go through and now you're making a revenge plan inside of you. And in your revenge plan, you're building in more resentment that's going to need to be released. You don't know what they're going to say. They might say yes, they might say no. What you are going to do is just deal with things when they come. Do not exert the energy that you're given for today to live your life already in a future that you don't want. You know, you're like, oh, but then what if he cheats on me? And then what if this happens? And what if he says, no, 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 no. You're going to know what to do if that happens. If that happens. Do not make up negative scenarios in your head. Does that make sense? That's exactly what I want, a life of ease. I'm still contributing and making a lot of money. Yeah, and think about how you're going to spend that money by contributing. And even your work itself has to contribute. Even if you're a painter, you're contributing, right? When somebody buys your painting and looks at it and, you know, enjoys it, that's your contribution. It's not like, oh, I want to quit my job so I have time for my passion, painting. No, you're painting. See it as a contribution to the world. Let's see. What about manifesting my son talking? He's 2 and I'm wondering if I can manifest that. But you're already putting too much pressure on wondering if you can manifest that or not. Your son will talk in the right time. Okay, do not try to make it happen. Slowly, it will happen. 100%, Alexander. 100%. Let's see. The work and the inner work is not even. It's never a quick fix. It's a lifestyle. Yeah, you have to understand that the way you have been taught to live is to function in a system where you have to earn your existence. This has to be very clear in your mind that that's what's happened to you. That the whole system has done this to you. But in your free will choice, you can exit the system. This is what exiting the matrix is. It's not like, oh, Neo and all these conspiracy theories that they tell you. It's just changing your mind about having to earn your keep in the world. You didn't ask to be born. And so your existence should be guaranteed. I'm talking about your needs, right? My needs are always met. Okay, you don't worry about, oh, I need a 7-bedroom villa. You can't really bring yourself to believe you need a 7-bedroom villa. But nobody should have survival needs, worries, and concerns. Nobody in this world. Nobody, because we didn't ask to be born, right? And the earth has more than enough resources to take care of all of us, despite of what they tell you. More than enough. And therefore, it's our right to have that. And if they design a system in which we can't just say, you know, can I drive like, 4-8 hours away from the city, pick a piece of land and start cultivating it and building my house on it? You know, they won't let me do that. Okay, so then the system that won't let me do that has to provide for me. Somehow. Somehow it has to. Right? Because they won't let me actually do what I want to do. Convince yourself. Rationalize with yourself. You desperately need a job with better pay. I work less and I make more. I did this affirmation on myself. It happened exactly like that. Because you know why I did this affirmation on myself? Because I really couldn't settle on an amount and on a type of role that would be better. Because when you're in this high stressed mode, Luna, like high stressed, okay? You first of all, in a job like that, they make you feel like you're not worth anything. Or you're worth that they're even going to try to tell you everywhere you go is going to be the same. So you might as well stay here and take it. So for you to say, oh, I'm going to make, 200 grand and I'm going to work X and Y, it's still telling the universe the how in a way that you can't project right now from this stressed out level. Do you have a boyfriend? I have a boyfriend. I'm going to marry him in July. This is my second husband. So stay away. So funny. Anything else, guys? Anything else I can help you with? The manifestation for the group? No, stay away so, because I'm that woman with more than one husband. That's what I'm saying. I'm making a joke. I'm making this lighter, a little bit lighter, right? A little bit lighter. because this is heavy stuff we're going into, right? A lot of people, after they watch my lives, they get into that state of, oh my God, this is going to be harder than I expected. And people become a little bit discouraged by that, right? So I just, sometimes I try to keep it maybe lighter subjects and sometimes, but this material is deep. If you move past that, you've done the 369, it didn't work. You've done the journaling, it didn't work. Now you're ready to go 2.0. My account is very serious 2.0 concepts that you need to reflect, that you need to implement, that you need to deconstruct yourself. And you actually have to want to do that. But I don't want to leave you with this feeling that it's heavy all the time. Can you talk more about manifesting a relationship with past lover? I won't, because I don't believe it would be good for you. If you put yourself first, which is the whole message that I teach, if you put yourself first, you have to understand that if I put myself first, then I have to allow myself the possibility that there's somebody there who's better than my past lover. You understand? Because I'm saying I'm great and I'm bettering myself in addition to that. And so I only want somebody who's a match for that. Get it? If I really love myself, I want a match to my vibration. I don't want some past lover that couldn't satisfy me to begin with from all aspects, or who wasn't willing or able to satisfy me. Go through all my SP content, please. How did you yourself reprogram your subconscious? Do you have 2 weeks for me to tell you? It's not a magical meditation, Queen. It's not like that. All right. Guys, if you don't have anything else, I'm going to end because that was all the material that I had. Remember, we're manifesting a white owl. I think this is going to be a very, very, very interesting challenge because the white owl is a spiritual animal and I want to see who's going to be able to manifest it. Put in your mind, see it in your mind, close your eyes, see it in your mind, and then completely let it go and float on the group energy and see where you can take it from there. What's the Facebook group? All details are in my bio. If you join us on the Facebook group, please do the 60-day challenge. Everybody in there is doing the 60-day challenge. There's about 200 people in the Facebook group right now. If you guys have a question that's not very, very personal, you can email it to me, mona.khad@yahoo.com, and I take up these questions to which the answer is of benefit to the group. If the answer is not to the benefit to the group, I will not be able to answer it because it's time consuming for me unless you work one-on-one with me. Okay, please put your hands together for the 369 tapping. I am a winner. The tapping is a nervous system reset response. I pair it with the affirmation I am a winner for everyone's benefit, and you don't have to do anything. This is going to take 30 seconds. Follow along or listen along, or if you don't want to do that, you can disconnect from the live, and I'll see you next Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch for my content meanwhile. One breath together. I am a winner. 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 I am a winner.